What's cracking, everybody? XehrFelrose here, bringing you some Pokemon Go Battle League content. Today's video is going to be a little bit longer than normal. I'm going to say that right off the top because I got 3 sets involved in today's video. We're playing a really strong team. I really just wanted to play my Shadow Drapion. It is my favorite Ultra League Save Swap Pokemon of all time. It's been since I built it a couple years ago by now. And this thing has just always been a bread and butter Pokemon that I've enjoyed using. It's always been a very just comfort pick for me to be able to put in a team that does well. So in order to play this out, I kind of had to figure out what I wanted to use with it, and I actually settled on trying to use Greninja's Closer because, once again, another one of my favorite things to use. I also have a really good ranked shiny Greninja that is probably one of the most, aside from my Shundo, which I don't know how I got that lucky, but my Greninjas are one of the pride and joys of my account. I love shiny Greninja. I figured, why not just give it a try, see if we could make some sweeping happen with it. And when I plugged these two on PvPoke, Clefable was the best thing to answer, or put in the lead here, I should say. You could also use something like Galarian Weezing, or you could use, instead of Drapion, you could use a Feraligatr. There's a lot of things, as long as you trade a fairy for a fairy, but try not to be super weak to ground, because I have started to see some Mud Slappers come out of the woodwork. So that's why I picked Clefable over the Weezing. But Clefable also is something that I want to talk about real quick before we get into the video, because people are running Swift on it, and I think that's a mistake in the Ultra League. I think Meteor Mash is the way to go. Everything's so much more bulky. Swift hardly does any real damage, aside from just being a bait move to get a shield with. And really, at that point, Meteor Mash is just a good move, and it also enables Clefable to beat all the other fairies, which is one thing that Greninja has an issue with. So the team functioned really well. We went on a total run of 14-6 with it. Let's get into these battles here so you guys can kind of see why I think this team is really strong. And also, again, there's going to be 3 sets here. I'm going to be honest, I did 4 total sets. I didn't include the first one because I did it during the day. I was at work, and I just, on my lunch, I put a set in, and I did it, and I went 4-1. And then I went, and I think this first set is a 2-3. So right off the cuff here, you guys are going to see me thrown into a situation where I'm really questioning whether or not I want to keep running this team or if I'm just having bad luck. So obviously we did have a good record. I get the counter swap of their Tentacruel onto my Drapion. Not a great situation. I'm going to go ahead and give 1 shield. If I could just get 1 defense drop, I might be able to flip this matchup. And if I can't, then I just have to hope that Greninja can sweep in the back. So my opponent is not going to get debuffed. I needed them to get debuffed on that first one. That's where I needed it to happen. Now I just have to let this go and try to see if I can give Greninja the keys to the kingdom, right, to get it the sweep. So we're going to let Clefable come in and absorb the energy. I know that this is not a situation in which Clefable really thrives, but it also isn't going to be able to do jack against the Skeledirge in the back either. So I'm just going to put it all in the back of Greninja. The opponent throws their energy, and they come in with a Guzzlord, and I quit because there's nothing I can do in this game at all. Good game to the opponent. Not really. Good alignment, I guess. Forgot the transition, but we're getting into the next game where we get a really positive lead into a Machamp, and the opponent safe swaps into Galarian Weezing, and I'm going to throw this Meteor Mash. Now, this is going to do super effective damage if it lands, and Drapion can immediately just come in and start Poison Stinging, and the added damage to Poison Sting is really matters in these matchups. It really does. The opponent just goes straight for the Overheat, which means I should be able to go for at least 3 or 4. I wasn't sure exactly where they were at energy-wise, so I went for 3 just to be on the safe side. We're going to throw the Crunch because it'll be enough here. We maintain switch advantage, and the opponent comes back in with the Machamp, and I leave myself within 4 of the Sludge Bomb on purpose here because I want to be able to throw it before the opponent can get to it, or at least make them throw the Cross Chop right away. But the opponent actually maybe assumes that we have Aqua Tail and lets that go, and now I have to deal with Greninja into this Tentacruel. Now, something that's important to note, as always, even though your damage is resisted, it doesn't mean it doesn't matter, right? Just because my Clefable has a terrible matchup in a Tentacruel doesn't mean that I can't find some way to use it. And so as I play this matchup out, I'm just going to go for as many Night Slashes as I can here. Greninja, and I'm kind of hoping maybe I get a boost too. That would be kind of nice. Greninja's going to just flop off as many Night Slashes as it possibly can, and we're going to get a shield, and there's the boost. So now we have a chance to make some real headway in this matchup. I also know the opponent's Machamp is critically low and is really not going to be able to contribute to this fight anymore. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and shield once. I'm going to try to land a Night Slash on this Tentacruel here, but before that, so let me stop it real quick because I want to explain this, right? So in this moment, right, I knew that they had a move banked on the Machamp. From that farm down, they never threw energy, right? So they have it. As soon as they get a shield off of me, or as soon as they, get to that point where they throw that Scald, they're going to come in and try to snipe with the Machamp and try and get the other shield. So at that point, I'm like, even if they don't do this, my Clefable should hopefully be able to get to a couple of Moon Blasts maybe, But the opponent does go in with the Machamp here. We call the swap play, and we're able to get the Moonblast off. And remember, we should have at least, if not a Night Slash very close to it, locked and loaded on the Greninja for later. But we're going to try to get to a move. One more Moonblast is going to be enough. And even though Clefable does not like seeing poison types, we're going to go for the Moonblast for the knockout here. And that's going to be a good game. Well played. And that was my first win. So a little bit of it was an alignment play, right? We get another really good lead here with a Virizion, so let's see what happens, right? We have to keep Greninja away from this. The opponent comes in with a Feraligatr, and I stay in here to go for a Moonblast, or the opponent throws first. I figure as long as I can keep my Clefable somewhat healthy, or I can leave my Drapion in charge to deal with the Virizion, I'll do that. But the opponent is going to be able to get their Shadow Claw through as I throw this move, and now I'm going to come in with my Drapion here and look to get a full farm down of this Feraligatr, because I still have Clefable for the Virizion. They can go for their Hydro Cannon, but I should get the full farm down here. And if they come back in with the Virizion, they're going to have a bad time getting Sludge Bombed if they don't shield this. If they shield this, then good call on them. I've seen a lot of Drapions lately running Aqua Tail, and nobody is respecting the Sludge Bombs. So now, at this point, I'm going to shield because I'm thinking maybe I can farm this Virizion down. However, I've also left myself down 2 shields to 1 here, so I'm thinking, like, after I see the Poison Sting register, I'm like, I don't think I'm going to be able to get this farm down, so I throw. Then I have a Registeel to deal with now. So this is getting really risky, right? I don't want them to fully farm down my Drapion, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to swap into my Clefable and do some chip damage if I can. Get this Registeel just a little bit lower with 1 shield. I'm going to try to see if I can win with Greninja. Now, the thing that I'm going to have to try to do at some point is catch a move on Drapion, because the opponent has 2 shields. Registeel is extremely thick, and there's not much that I'm going to be able to do here. I can't 2-shot it. Like, a Hydro Cannon is, I mean, maybe it'll 2-shot from here, but the opponent's able to get to a move, and I'm thinking, okay, maybe they just got to this move. Now I'm going to carefully count the lock-ons and hope that I'm able to get these counts right. So that's going to be 3 lock-ons for the Water Shuriken, plus 1 more after I throw this move, so they should be at 4. Then we're going to go for, do it again, right? So 4 more, that should be 8. And then that means that they should need at least 7 to get to the next move, right? So I'm going to go for a Night Slash. That means that now they should be at 12. So I should be able to go for 1 more and then swap if they threw right away, which I kind of felt like they did. So I'm going to go for 1 more, try to swap, but the opponent has a little bit of extra energy because I wasn't counting the lock-ons from before that because I just wasn't paying as much attention. The opponent's going to be able to get me with the Focus Blast. Boom! And we go down with the crunch! And that's a tragic game. We just lose that. Well played from the opponent. Registeel was just a pain, and I did not, like, I could have almost had that catch, I think, but I didn't quite make it, and the opponent definitely did well there. So they're going to come in with a Pangoro. They have a Tentacruel lead. Obviously, we want to get out of this with Clefable. I don't even know that switch advantage is really crucial here, because in the long scheme of things here, Tentacruel does actually quite well at core breaking this team. Because Greninja doesn't appreciate it, Clefable doesn't appreciate it, Drapion doesn't really appreciate it, right? So close combat from Pangoro, I find out, as of right this second, does not fully KO my Drapion. So I'm able to get a crunch off, and I'm going to get Switch, but there's probably not that much of a benefit to me getting Switch here. I don't know if there's much of a benefit to me even getting farm down. I don't know what I'm going to do about this thing, but I'm going to have to come in with my Greninja here and just try to make something happen in this game. I don't know what's in the back, but because it's a Tentacruel, I typically just expect there to be some sort of dark type in the back that I'm hoping Clefable can deal with later on. Whatever they have in the back is going to completely dictate what happens in this game. So again, we're going to be throwing our an odd number of Water Shurikens, 1, 3, or 5, or 7, right? Typically 1 or 3 is going to be the number, but that's because that's the preferred timing into a 2-turn user like this Tentacruel here with Skull. Now, the opponent does get the attack drop, and I'm kind of sad. I'm going to go ahead and throw this Night Slash, and I'm going to hope that maybe Clefable can do something here, and I just need to go for these Night Slashes. I'm going to throw double Night Slash, see if I can't get rid of this Tentacruel. Whatever's in the back, it's a Registeel, and I know I'm done. That's it. We're out. Goodbye. Bye, Registeel. We're done. No way I'm winning that one. Next game, we got a Giratina on the lead. Very positive lead for this whole team. And the opponent has a Feraligatr safe switch, and I'm going to bring in my Drapion. Maybe this was a mistake. Greninja's typically going to be the better bring-in here overall because it resists all of the damage that comes from the Feraligatr, regardless if it's running Hydro Cannon, Ice Beam, or Crunch. But I kind of wanted to save the Greninja for the potential chance that it has to face off against the Giratina. So I am now forced to shield this Hydro Cannon, and I figure at this point, if I can get a defense drop I can win switch here, even if I mean, I don't need it at this point. I can Poison Sting down the Feraligatr, but they decide to take the shield advantage and let that go, and they come back in with the Giratina that is running Dragon Breath, and I'm like, all right, well, that's significantly worse for my Greninja now that it's running Dragon Breath. So now I'm going to come in with Clefable, and the opponent has a Cobalion, and I'm like, hold on a minute, let me sit up, let me pull the inadequate, sit up in my chair and focus up here because I have a chance at now winning this game. We are going to go ahead and get the attack drop on the Moonblast, which is actually massive, 10% chance to get that Moonblast drop. And it's rough, man, but we're going to be they're going to go for the Stone Edge. It's not going to do a whole lot, thankfully, and I'm just going straight Moonblast here. I have absolutely no reason to bait. I don't care if they're going to shield or not. It's only one more Fairy Wind, and even in this case where if I had Swift, I would never bait here because Clefable has got the bulk to be able to handle all these moves. I'm very, very fine with just going straight Moonblast, especially after the switch clocks have reset, because now if the opponent tried to catch a move, they would be catching potentially a Swift or a Meteor Mash on the Giratina, which would be not great for me. Now, we live on 1 HP. We're going to swap immediately here. The Cobalion is low enough where I could possibly get farm down here, and that would be great because I can live any one move from the Giratina. We're just going to go Night Slashes here into the Giratina, and we're going to be able to get the first one off, and then we're going to go for the next one, and then we can honestly just farm down the Cobalion because they don't have enough energy for a move. So this is going to end here on a positive note, at least, this first set, as long as they don't get to a Sacred Sword, which they don't. But here's where I'm at, right? We end the set on a positive note, but we're sitting at a 2-3, and I kind of got bodied a bit here in this first set. There were definitely some narrow losses, but here's where I'm looking at when I want to change a team, and this could be maybe something that everybody might be able to take away from this, is if you get bodied in your team comp and nothing is going well, then maybe it's time to switch teams. But if it's like, you know, close losses, like a Registeel being able to farm you down as you get to the game-winning crunch, or, you know, stuff like that, that you could almost flip that either way. That could have gone either way. So I'm not really worried as much. I'm like, you know what? It's one bad set. If I had Elo right now, this would only be a 2-3. This would only be minus like 14 points or so. So let's get into the next set and see what we can make happen. So Clefable into... I'm sorry, what? That's a Shadow Zapdos on my screen. I respect the opponent, and they have... I'm like, dude, after the 2-3 I just had, I'm literally just putting my glasses on the desk, rubbing my face, profusely asking myself, why is this happening to me? Okay, that's literally what's going through my head right now, okay? That's quite literally what's happening in my head right now. So I'm gonna go for the second crunch here because I can get to it before going down. I'm like, all right, at least I get shield advantage, right? So the opponent has a Shadow Zapdos in the lead. They have a Mud Slapper in the back. They have Play Rough on their Donphan, which, I mean, I don't really know what I was going for there, but the opponent's going to go for another charge move. I'm like, I'm just going to let it go. And now they've used up their energy. I'm going to go for a farm down with my Greninja, and we're going to try to see if we can convert this energy into a way to win this game. So Zapdos is not something that I want to see, but of this much energy and with 2 shields, we should be able to make something happen with the Zapdos here. And then it's going to come down to what's in the back. If it's another Mud Slapper, we might have a solid chance. The opponent lets that go. I'm shielding and farming down here, no matter what. And then hopefully Greninja's energy goes into something in the back. They have a Hippowdon in the back, and that is actually a chance for us to win. But the opponent actually just... They top left. They don't even bother trying to play this out. If the opponent was able to get my shield down and get to a Weather Ball, I think they would have been able to win that game. But good game. Clefable and the Goodra, extremely good matchup here. We just want to maintain switch advantage. We cannot put this on the Greninja. And honestly, until I know what the second move on this Golisopod is, I'm also not really willing to put my Greninja on this. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go for the Moonblast, kind of like how I've been handling the Feraligatr so far, which I'm really not sure if that's the correct way to go about it. Maybe I just instantly switch into my Greninja. Maybe that's the way I want to do it. But we're going to be able to come in with the Drapion here. We do resist the Shadow Claw damage, which is great. And we're going to be able to take a Liquidation and no debuff here. So we're going to try... I was thinking about trying to go for the farm down, but I realized they're probably going to get to another move. I think it's 5 to the third Liquidation. So I'm just going to go for the crunch here and try to convert this extra HP and energy into damage on Drapion into the Goodra. And the opponent's hard countered in this game already. Like, their Goodra is basically going to get matched up against this Clefable anyway, so there's a good chance that they just don't bother trying to shield. And they just save 2 shields for whatever they have in the back to try and get it to win the game. Get a defense drop and almost a Poison Sting farm down. And in comes Clefable. The opponent has a Talonflame, and we have the Greninja. And here's something I want you all to watch, okay? You would think that this is a surefire win, no problem, easy money, right? Not necessarily. Watch how close this matchup gets, right? So the Talonflame's throwing moves here. Obviously, they just need one charge move to knock me out. I have to shield everything. They're going to go for their moves, and I want to go for 3, preferably. That's going to be my number here. Now, I want to be able to go for 1 more Water Shuriken and be able to throw this move. However, the opponent has a move loaded on their Goodra. So remember earlier when they tried to do that swap out with the Machamp, I called this in my head. I'm thinking they got rid of my last shield. Their win condition here is Goodra coming in and getting rid of my Greninja, because then Talonflame's not going to be able to, or Talonflame's going to be free at that point to be able to go for the move against my Greninja and take, or against my Clefable and take it out. But because of the fact that the opponent actually, what I think they should have done there was try to farm, or try to go for the full powered Thunder Punch and then farm down, but we're able to take the game thanks to, honestly, a good call. Because if I get that wrong, my opponent wins there, no problem. So getting into this next game, we got, again, another Weezing on the lead. Maybe another one. Maybe I haven't seen one on the lead yet. But we're going to go ahead and match them at 7. I do remember now, after this, that Galarian Weezing wins charge attack priority. So they're going to get the Play Rough off. I'm going to go for my Meteor Mash. And as soon as I do, now that I know that they've gone for the Play Rough, they're out of energy, I'm going to go straight to Drapion here with a shield advantage, or even with that much HP down. Like, right, wow. This is good. Watch this. Right, they come in with a Mud Slapper, but it's a Golurk. Golurk is a Ghost type, and it's also very, very frail. The opponent gonna go ahead and shield that move, and now they're down shields, and I'm like, this is only a Shadow Punch. So we're gonna resist the Shadow Punch, and I'm able to get to this crunch. Watch how much damage this does. Watch. Just watch. Just watch. Boom! It nearly one-shots a full HP Shadow Golurk. Now, the opponent does go for energy here to try and negate me from getting to a move against their Weezing. They're already in a really bad spot with the fact that they're down 2-0 shields, and I have Greninja in the back. Like, unless they have Poliwrath in the back, which, I mean, even if they did, we'd still be fine. But they have a Licky, so in this case, what they do here is they are going to try to just go and overwhelm me with body slams. Now, Greninja seems like a pretty surefire way to win this game with two shield advantage, but I have to be able to make the call of whether I'm going to get hit with a body slam or if I'm going to get hit with something harder like a solar beam or an earthquake. You know, people are running all kinds of weird move sets on the Lickies these days. So I'm going to go for 3, go for the charge attack priority tie, go for my Hydro Cannon here, and then we're going to be able to get this thing pretty low, and at this point we should hopefully be able to just land a Hydro Cannon into the Weezing. So the Weezing has a little bit of energy, but not a ton. I call the Body Slam here because that's what I needed, honestly, at this point. And even if I couldn't call it, like even if they had gone and knocked me out, I think Clefable was going to be able to get to another Meteor Mash to take out this this Weezing anyway, so we would have been fine here. But we're just going to go for the surefire thing here, going for this Hydro Cannon. That's going to take out the Weezing, and then we're also going to be able to get rid of the Licky with just about one more move, and that's going to be it. It's a good game. Well played. Now, even still, like, I'm having a great time so far, right? We are doing great so far. We get an Ampharos in this next game, so what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to stay in, go for a little bit of damage. It's a non-shadow Ampharos, so I'm not super worried about their damage output, but they also obviously may not need to shield this Moonblast. I'm probably going to tank a move here, honestly, before I swap, and that's exactly what I look to do, is even though they get up to 5, I don't think they're running Zap Cannon. That's the only move in their arsenal that will be a problem for me. So now they're going to go ahead and go for another Volt Switch and go for the move. I'm going to swap into my Drapion, not so much to catch the move, but just to be able to start getting some energy here, and the opponent comes in with Virizion, and they are now looking at my Poison type with their Grass type and wondering, is this person running Aqua Tail? I'm going to call the running Aqua Tail, or I'm going to call the Sludge Bomb. They no-shield it, and I'm telling y'all, you can get away with free Sludge Bombs right now if you go ahead and run Drapion. And now this person runs Stone Edge, and I'm like, oh my goodness, what has happened? They're not running Sacred Sword, they're running Stone Edge Leaf Blade. So I come in with my Clefable. I was like, there's no way that this is a Stone Edge, and they throw the Stone Edge. So they get switch advantage here. We'll see what they do with it, right? They have an Ampharos, and they have a Typhlosion. So this is going to be risky, but basically what I'm going to do here is I'm going to shield once, fully farm down this Ampharos, and then I should hopefully with this energy lead be able to take that to the house with this Typhlosion and be able to knock it out. We're going to go for 1 and then the move because they would get to another Thunder Punch. I think with this pacing, as long as I get a shield here, I'm fine. And then we go for the Hydro Cannon, and this is actually a mistake by me. I should have paced my moves a little bit smarter here because I'm not going to be able to get to the Hydro Cannon after this, but we do win charge attack priority against the Typhlosion with Greninja, which I actually found out right now because I've never played this matchup before, but we're going to be able to get this Hydro Cannon off on charge attack priority to knock out the Typhlosion.
Boom!
And that's a good game, well played to the opponent. All right, getting into this next battle here, we got Clefable on the lead versus another Goodra. This is, again, a really great lead. It's going to come down to maintaining switch advantage. The opponent has a Skeleturge, and I am immediately coming in with my Greninja and going for the Hydro Cannon as close to charge attack priority as I can, as I would expect them to go for the Disarming Voice right away. They decide to let it go, and they're going for the move. So it wasn't charge attack priority, thankfully. Also, I know that I live one Disarming Voice, and I'm actually okay with letting my Greninja go down like this because I don't want to give the Goodra or whatever else comes in too much farm if the opponent not shielding allows me to just make that call. Now they come in with their, I'm coming in with my Drapion here into the Charm Primarina because I know that my Clefable is going to have a dominant matchup into the Goodra, so I'm just going to go ahead and let this move go, save 2 shields for my Goodra. There's not a thing I need to worry about. It's Clefable, it's a Fairy type into a Goodra, and I just go straight Moonblast here. We should be able to take a pretty simple win. Now, the opponent does have a low HP Primarina in the back. I do need to be careful if they do decide. They're going to play this out. Like, I'm going to spoiler alert this. They're not top lefting. They're going to play this out. So, this is, again, these matchups, you can take advantage of the shorter switch timer in these games now. And it actually makes for a lot more skill expression, I feel. I'm starting, like, at first I didn't see as many games where it mattered, but now I'm really able to get to a point where I could really notice where there's some skill expression with these swaps. I've done it, my opponents have done it to me. Again, I just need to make sure that there's no catch happening here, which I expect to happen very soon. If the opponent can get a catch, there's a chance that they might be able to do something, but they do make the catch thinking I'm going to throw the move right away. And now I'm at the Moonblast. I could have just thrown they were low enough I could have just gone for the Meteor Mash, but we're going to go for the Moonblast for the knockout here and take this one, and that's a good game as well. So wrapping up set number 2 here, we actually pull off a straight 5-0 sweep, and we're getting into the next game against one of my Discord members. So we lead terrible. It's straight in. It's straight into the Skeleturge here. Now I'm gonna go for Drapion, and we're just gonna try to reach for switch advantage because that is pretty much the only way that I have to win. Now we get the defense drop, and I'm very carefully looking at this. I'm shielding just in case they throw Thunder Punch. Right? Goes for Thunder Punch. Okay, that's fine. We're gonna be able to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm seeing it now. I shield one more time, and I go for this farm down. And I can get switch advantage into the Skeleturge. Now I'm down 2-0 shields. I am down 0 shields, and they come in with Registeel. And I'm like, okay, this is awkward. Clefable, not going to have a good time here. Greninja getting one shot by everything. So my Drapion is just going to unload every last ounce of this energy into the Registeel, and I'm going to hope that I'll be able to get a shield off of it at least before. Just one shield would be fine enough for me. And then after the Drapion gets taken out, because they're not going to be able to just farm down, they have to throw energy here. I'll come in with my Clefable here into the Registeel, because that way I can save the Greninja in case they want to come in with their Skeleturge, and because we also just learned in the previous match that we do live the one Disarming Voice, I will be able to go for a pretty clean here 3 Water Shurikens, and then go for the charge move. And I also win charge attack priority if the opponent decides they want to shield, which they don't. We take it out.
Boom!
And we're going to let loose another Hydro Cannon. I'm really hopeful that maybe Greninja can get to another move here, and if it can't, my Clefable does have the bulk that it needs to be able to go for at least 2 Moonblasts, hopefully 2 moves of some kind. But this Hydro Cannon is going to connect, and I'll instantly pivot into my Clefable to prevent the opponent from getting out of their farm. Now, what they could have done here is they could have brought the Registeel into the Drapion and come in with the XehrFelrose onto the Greninja, and I get RPS and I lose. However, what I think the opponent was looking to do here was they saw Clefable, and they're like, I have 2 really good answers to this. So I'm going to get the XehrFelrose off the board so that at some point, if I have to, I either have Skeleturge or Registeel against Clefable. That seems like a safe play in my mind, something that I would do similarly. So fortunately for us, though, we were able to just take that one with the Greninja and the Clefable. Getting into the next game, another not-so-great lead here. It's Poison Jab, Alolan Muck. I assume they're all Poison Jab, and if they end up being Snarl, then so be it. The opponent does come in with a Pangoro counter swap here. This is a little bit dangerous for me, but again, we saw previously that we can live one close combat and get to that crunch to be able to get the knockout here, or a shield. I'll be able to farm down with Clefable, and if the opponent decides to shield for switch, or they throw all their energy here, that's a question that I have to kind of figure out, and I'm thinking to myself whether I want to shield or not. They just go for the Night Slash. They also hit a boost here. I'm going to get the full farm down, and what I'm hoping to do is just once again go for some energy on Clefable, sweep with Greninja here. What I need to do is I need to make sure that they don't have energy to throw into my Greninja, because I'm not so worried about this energy if they don't have Sludge Wave, right? The opponent has Sludge Wave, I'm in a bad way, so I'm actually going to stay here until they throw, because I don't want them to throw an Acid Spray as soon as I switch into my Greninja. But the opponent has Sludge Wave, and we just get clapped. Boom! And the opponent has a Staraptor, and I'm like, okay, I have a chance here. I just need to make sure I don't mistime my moves, and maybe I can land a Hydro Cannon onto the Muck. So we're going to continue to just go for these Water Shurikens, but I make a grave mistake. I think that they're going to go for the Charge Attack priority tie there, and I just messed that up, and they get an extra Gust through, and I'm not going to be able to go through the Staraptor, and they get a full Gust down. Good game. I'm feeling that one in my soul, man. We get Cresselia here in this next game. Only a few more games left in the set here. Trying to go positive with this team so that I can... I ran this team because I thought it would be fun. And at this point, we had a 14-6 run with this team. I think that's worth showing off. I go straight into Drapion here because I technically do have two better responses in the back for this thing. And so I'm going to go ahead and let them fall their Moonblast. And they're going to come in with a Feraligatr, and I can go for 4 and then my move. I am ahead on energy on this Feraligatr, so it's up to them what they want to do here. But I'm in a pretty good position, especially up a shield. I could very much try to go for a Sludge Bomb here. And I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to shield up here, and I'm going to try to go for another move, but I'm going to try and get sneaky with it and maybe go for the Sludge Bomb, thinking they won't shield this Crunch. The opponent double shields. That's kind of sad for me, but I will be able to make the move. But we get the extra damage on the Feraligatr with the Sludge Bomb, and that puts it in a very nice farm down range, but it's a little too much for Clefable to farm down, and Greninja's not really going to have a good time either. So after a little bit of lag, because we love lag in this game, it's our favorite thing. It's what we do every day. I'm going to end up taking a move on my Clefable here in the hope that I don't have to shield again and I can give Greninja the chance it needs to sweep. So we're going to go for this Moonblast here into the Cresselia that comes in. And then we're going to switch immediately to Greninja and try to make some magic happen. And we do get the final shield from the opponent. So I would have also been very nice shielding here. But the opponent has a Shadow Claw Giratina altered in the back. And this is a pretty safe win here for Greninja. And even then, if I had to, I could save a shield for Clefable here to make this, finish the sweep here. Dragon Claw, not going to do very much. We're going to be able to go for a little bit more energy. I'm just going to go for the Night Slash here. And I need to get to 2 Night Slashes against the Cresselia. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to let them throw or move, and I don't need to shield this because, again, Psycho Cut has absolutely no fast move pressure into my Greninja. I'm going to over farm here, and the opponent does make a nice catch attempt, but either way, these Night Slashes were going to end up going into the Cresselia anyway, so I'm fine. I'm going to over farm by a little bit more here because I know I can, because they had just thrown, and now that's going to be a good game as they concede. Well played. Greninja does just tear through teams that aren't ready for it. It's true. It's a fact. It's a law of nature. We see a Drapion lead in this game, and I'm just going to swap immediately to my Drapion, and then someone is running the Poliwrath. Trainers, I cannot tell you how tired I am of seeing this Pokemon. I'm so glad that I've seen maybe 4 this whole season so far, but like after last season, I would be so happy to never see Poliwrath again in my life, dude. The pacing on Poliwrath has been severely hurt by its lower energy generation from counter. So it's like 8 counters to the first Icy Wind and 9 to the Scald now. We are going to be able to get it low, and Clefable comes in and gets a full farm down. And this is ideal for me, actually. Yes, we get hard countered, but not only do we draw the Poliwrath so Greninja doesn't have to see it, but we get a full farm down with Clefable, and we can land a Moonblast into the Drapion, which is heavy neutral damage here. And then I can come in with my Greninja if I need to right after, which is probably what I'm going to do, because they're not going to throw a Crunch or an Aqua Tail into this thing. And I don't think that they got to enough for a Sludge Bomb. And I no-shield it. I'm calling this. It's a Crunch, and the opponent has the Licky Licky here. So now, just kind of like the previous game, we have a shield advantage. It's a Licky Licky, but I do have to call again. Body slams, after that crunch hit, body slams will get me pretty close to being able to be farmed down, so I need to be kind of careful here. We also need to keep in mind the Drapion is in the back with energy, or maybe not. I don't know if they have energy at this point. I know that they're very, like, they're getting kind of like to the point where they either have like 1 or 0. I mean, honestly, but they're saving a shield for it, and I'm going to be able to, I don't want to shield this, man. I don't want to, but I need to. And I'm hoping maybe I can farm down the Licky. But I'm catching the body slam instead here. I played these games the day before I record. Like, I recorded these yesterday as of doing this recording. But the opponent is going to get the Drapion, but they're getting the full farm down, and I'm very sad. I need to get to 2 moves, and I think they're going to be able to make it to a crunch. They should have been able to sneak a poison sting in there, but I don't know if they were over farming or not. But they definitely didn't need to. They could have just thrown the crunch if they had it. Maybe they didn't have the crunch, and maybe I overestimated the energy they had. But we're able to water shuriken down the Licky for a good game. Well played. All right, getting into the next battle here, we got Virizion on the lead against our Clefable, and the opponent is staying in here, which is a fantastic thing for me. They're just going to go for a Leaf Blade, try to dip here. This actually kind of worries me because I can never let my Greninja get matched up against that Virizion. It would be terrible. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put my Greninja here against the Feraligatr. Maybe using this energy against the Feraligatr was a mistake. I probably should have just come straight in with the Greninja, because what I'm going to do now is I'm going to let them hit me with another move. I'm going to actually like go for just a Night Slash and try to farm down, go for an undercharge here. And then what I'm going to let them I want them to get to another move, but they actually almost don't get to it, but with 1 HP, they hang on to be able to get to it. The best buddy Feraligatr that could gets me low, and I'm going to be going for a Night Slash and trying to get a boost, and if I can, go for another move. I know I have 2 Night Slashes, but I didn't think I had a Hydro Cannon, so I'm like, I'm going to go for another Water Shuriken, and then find out in the middle of the Water Shuriken, I actually have the Hydro Cannon, so that was a mistake by me. But Clefable's going to come back in. It's going to have to take another Leaf Blade, but the opponent is now in a position where they can actually just go for Leaf Blades and put me in a pretty bad position here. So I'm wondering if maybe I should swap into my Drapion at some point or just shield. I'm kind of thinking about shielding here. I'm going to do it just in case what they have in the back is weak to the Clefable, but they have an Ampharos, which I'm like, I'm trying to figure out why they would want to stay in against me with a Clefable when they have 2 things in the back that do just fine into it, right? So I'm not sure. Like, right, they have the Feraligatr and they have the Ampharos, 2 very safe Pokemon to be able to bring in against a Clefable, but they go ahead and they just keep going. Once they show me Trailblaze, I'm like 95% sure they have Brutal Swing, and that allows me to call these moves and not worry about it. I'm getting pretty low, and I got to be careful here, but we're going to be able to get the crunch off. We have enough HP, hopefully, to Poison Sting down the Virizion that is very low. It's going to be a very, very close one here. Going to get the Poison Sting down with Drapion living with just a hair of HP. That's going to be a good game. I just live it longer. Maybe, I'm probably not going to do 3-set videos too much, but I had to make this choice of, do I showcase the 9-in-1, or do I include the 2-3 that came before it and kind of add what I was thinking after that set going into the next 2? So overall, this team looks really, really good. Greninja's always fun. Drapion's incredible, right? And if you use, most things that you can draw out with Drapion, your Clefable can handle. Mostly going to be things like fighters and even mud slappers, and those aren't even really super worried about Clefable anyway. But this team is really strong, and I'm hoping that by showcasing that I'm not just saying, here's a 9-in-1 run. Like, overall, 14-6 is great, but there was a 2-3 set in there, and I wanted to include that because it's like, everybody has bad sets, including me, so it happens. But anyway, that's going to do it for me for today's video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you have a great weekend. I'm going to be looking to get some videos out, and also we're going to be watching the Baltimore Regional on a watch party stream, so check us out on Sunday. We're going to watch the whole thing from the beginning to the end together on that day. So thanks all very much for the support and watching the video. We'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.